would say I wouldn't have become the writer that I am today if it weren't for reading. Not only do I carry the stories of my family, the stories of my parents, but I also carry all the stories I've read in the past. And it's probably made me this person that I am today because I do feel like I understand a lot of people's stories whenever I navigate life. It's because I probably had seen it in a book, and it's made me this much more empathetic person because of it. It also has led me to connect more to myself. So anytime I feel myself seen in a story, I feel like I am able to get to know myself better and just understand the way I work as a person, as an individual, as a writer. And it also like helps me manifest all these stories or like poems that I'm essentially writing. I never understood how writing could actually heal until I was put in that position. And it wasn't until Davina made me see that writing is a tool for healing that I was able to use it for myself and my own healing. You know, her gathering all these writers essentially during the pandemic, kind of, we were all like in a healing journey together. Different things, like for me it was grief, other people were going through their own stories of healing, but we all found this common ground that writing could be used as a tool to heal our wounds, and through that, like, it just felt easier to navigate writing a book and putting words to paper. At the end of the day, I feel like the book is for people who pick it up, but if it's someone that isn't necessarily going through grief but knows someone in their life that is going to grief, they could also provide it for them and connect with them, because I not only speak to the people that are going through it, through losing someone, but I'm also speaking to the people that don't know how to talk to others about grief and how to address it. I have a poem that's called How to Love Someone Through the Grief, and I feel like that's probably the hardest thing to do while seeing someone go through losing someone. And because I feel like grief is not talked about enough, essentially. It should be talked about more, right? But it's not. So I'm Mexican American, and I feel like living as a Mexican American in the United States, I had a really hard time connecting to either or. And I would say I felt lost most of my life because of that. Me sentía muy ni de aquí ni de allá. And so I felt, because I was assimilating to American culture, I lost a lot of my roots, essentially. So my story, and I would say as I continue writing, it's about finding myself and finding my roots and connecting with my family, because I feel like when I do that, I get closer to myself in a lot of ways that I wasn't able to do before, because I was trying to assimilate to the American culture here, which is very different from what I grew up in. And it was because of the cultura, the Mexican cultura, that I was able to just be in community. And I feel like comunidad is so important, because essentially, like, I wouldn't be here without comunidad. And if I wouldn't have, you know, expressed my story, I probably wouldn't have found my community, especially like the places that I've been received, like Alegría Publishing. Writing my story, I was so lost before I started writing. I'm getting emotional right now, because, like I said, I didn't really know who I was before writing the book, and through writing, I've been able to find, essentially who I am.
I was born and raised here in Lenox, California, And I grew up with my mom for many years. She was a single mom, and I was the only child. And before my siblings were born, I have a lot of fond memories of just me and my mom. You know, very kind, sweet, a lot of trips to the park here in Lenox Park. And my favorite memory is her taking me to the park and cutting a big bowl of fruit, you know, and mango, sandía, naranjas picadas con tajín, or pico de gallo. Back then it was pico de gallo. And then my siblings came around. And things started really changing and shifting in our home. Things got really loud, very chaotic. One of the memories I share in the book is about when I was about 5 years old, and she just got really angry. I don't even remember what it was about. And I remember her just coming really fast from the kitchen. And we had such a small room where we lived. We lived in a single. And she just started yelling at me, calling me names, and I didn't understand what was going on, and I was so afraid of her. But that was one of the times where I felt really frightened. I was so afraid of my mom, of every time that she'd get angry or upset at me. And so there's like several of those stories in the book that I shared in reverence. So we are in front of the laundromat, Lavanderia, here in Lenox, and this special corner is so special to me because it's one of my fondest memories with my mother. You know, there was a time when I was about 10, 11 years old, where my mom held a job here as the cleaning lady. She would come in the afternoons and at night, and her job was to clean all the washing machines and to sweep and mop and pick up and throw away the trash. And in the evenings, I used to come with her because it's a huge laundromat for one person. And so I was assigned a chore. It's like, you know, I'm gonna do this half, you're gonna do this half. And, you know, I was little, so I had to jump on the washing machines to reach, you know, para alcanzar. And I remember being with my cepillo and brushing and like wiping with my other hand con el trapo, you know. And then I would help sweep one half and she'd sweep the other half. And then I think the mopping was a little too heavy for my body. And so my mom would ask me, say, you know, it's okay, vete a descansar, you know, like, ve, cuéstate ahí donde está el banquito, you know, the little bench. And I'd go and I lay down, but this was already past 10 o'clock because we had to wait until the last customer was out because we needed to help out our families, you know, and we didn't get additional, you know, income per se, but I helped my mom with some of that workload, you know, so that's why this laundromat holds a very special place in my heart. It's like you see so many, you know, new generations and older generations of Latino families, and it's so diverse. It's just such a beautiful and rich community with culture and traditions, whether it's our music, our food, and that's why I focused, you know, on the first chapter of my book. It's how I introduce myself and the community of Lenox, because I'm so proud. And sure, it has its areas where it can be developed, where there needs to be growth and change, but it's such a beautiful community, people with so much history, and their stories are amazing, of resilience and a sense of community, of helping and supporting each other. So one day I wanted to share my story with others. I knew there was a lot of life experiences that I know, unfortunately, a lot of people would resonate with, would identify through my experiences as well. And so it was always an idea, but never anything in motion to actually say, okay, I'm gonna take action. I'm gonna start writing a book. I tried a few years ago. My son was still really small, and I would try to wake up really early in the morning, at 5 in the morning, go into my home office and sit down, and the moment my son would feel that I wasn't next to him, he'd wake up and then he'd follow me into the office, and he'd want to lay in my lap. And I made a conscious decision, like, you know what, it'll happen, but not at this time. And so I put a pause, and then Davina, the founder of Alegria Publishing, reached out to me, and she said, Judy, I'm launching this like kind of private writing coaching opportunity for women like you who are raising families and entrepreneurs or working, and so it's one-on-one. It'd be every other week, and let me know if you're interested. And I said, tell me more, like I think that sounds great. And it was through that collaboration, through that guidance and support that I was like, okay, like I was able to compartmentalize the journey, the writing process to like fragments where I say, okay, I can do this week. And that's where I started kind of taking more seriously that dream of like, yes, like I think I can start writing my story into a book one day. And that's how it really began, through a series of small events that finally led me to the finished completion of writing Reverence. Decidí escribir o dedicarme al arte de la escritura justo cuando empieza la pandemia, porque fue una manera de canalizar toda esa energía que yo tenía, todas esas emociones encontradas. Me sentí sola, me sentí con mucha ansiedad, no sabía qué iba a pasar con todas las personas alrededor del mundo y especialmente con mi familia. Era un momento de mucha incertidumbre y el confinamiento pues también me motivó a escribir, a agarrar mi lápiz, mi papel. Me puse como una meta de escribir, como para sanar, como para canalizar, un método de sanación, pero no llevaba yo un objetivo fijo de decir, con estos escritos voy a hacer un libro. Eso ya se fue dando conforme los meses avanzaban, y cuando conocí a Davina fue que este proyecto ya empezó a tomar forma, y gracias a mis compañeros de Alegría Publishing y la mentoría de Davina, todos los poemas que he puesto en mi colección de visitas inesperadas, hay poemas de amor, de nostalgia, de esperanza, hasta tributos a nuestra madre tierra. Creo que la tierra es nuestro único hogar, y si no lo conservamos tal cual, lo podemos perder. Y este poema me gusta mucho porque habla de la esperanza y de reconocer que todos somos parte de este ciclo llamado vida. Y puse una foto de un señor que está arando la tierra. Mientras ara la tierra está apoyándose de la yunta, que es el toro, los toros, aquí en el arado. Esta es la entrada de mi comunidad, es un letrero muy, muy sencillo, muy rústico, dice bienvenidos a Ejutla de Crespo. Tenemos imágenes de un petate, este es un guayacán, estos florecen en esta temporada. Tenemos el tradicional juego de pelota mixteca. Este es un altar que era de mi abuela. Tiene sus santitos, su niño Dios. La comida no debe faltar, el pan dulce, el chocolate, las regañadas, el pan de yema. También hay romance aquí. Esta es mi hermana y mi cuñado el día de su boda. Hacemos un guiño también al amor, porque el amor es parte importante de nuestras vidas. Sin el amor yo creo que no seríamos nadie. Alguien que no es de Oaxaca y llega a estar en contacto con mi poesía va a aprender acerca de cómo es la vida de una mujer oaxaqueña inmigrante y lo que ha pasado a lo largo de sus 20 y tantos años que ya llevo viviendo aquí en Estados Unidos. Cuando salí de 23 años de Ejutla de Crespo y venirme aquí a vivir a Los Ángeles, va a tener esa experiencia de los sabores, de los colores, de que ese lector o persona que no esté familiarizada con Oaxaca, se sienta que está en Oaxaca, se sienta que a través de mi poesía, de muchas generaciones, una gente llena de valores, de cultura, de tradición. Eso es lo que alguien que no sabe qué cosa es Oaxaca o dónde queda o qué es lo que se hace ahí va a poder encontrar. Va a encontrar una esencia de una comunidad
que ama la tierra, que ama los valores y que vive en comunidad y que ama todo el legado cultural de los ancestros.
The main reason why I write is that I want to be able to continue what I started years ago, and that has to do with finding a sense of identity. I feel like poetry is the one art that really compels me to do it daily. Not only do I read it daily, but I make sure I practice it. I wanted to make sure that the feelings that I had when I was undocumented were painted accurately, and I feel like that's the one medium that really allows me to do it, whether it's by short form or a longer piece, where I'm not only reaching for memories, my own memories, but I'm trying to also echo the things that are happening throughout my community, people that I know, relatives that are going through that situation. And so when I tackle a poem, it usually has to come from an image. It usually comes from something that gives me a certain emotion. One of the poems that I really go back to every so often and kind of pick at it and change it is called Desde la Cima de Junio, which is from the Heights of June. And that's when I graduated high school. If you're undocumented, you don't have that path of going straight to college, having an opportunity to travel the world. You're more kind of grounded, literally, knowing that after you're done with high school, your identity is going to shift one more time. We're going to need a mic stand. Is that okay? You want a mic stand? Yes. Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Primero dándole las gracias a la organización NAREP de tener un poeta acá para agradecer the new installment of the board. So, aquí les va un poema dedicado a la batalla, la lucha y la esperanza que vive en el alma latina, por la motivación que tenemos, the drive, las ganas, esas cosas que solo los inmigrantes conocen o los descendientes de los inmigrantes. So, mucho cariño, pura vida. Casa de Sueños. I have seen hands brown, weathered, strong. Hands that have carried the weight of history. Hands that have built cities they were never meant to own. But today, hoy, they build for themselves.
So, as an immigrant, you think that there's a distance, and then when this life-changing events happen, it just kind of makes it even more tangible, more real. I think it's super important for you to really open up. Not all at once. You have to be careful, especially if you're talking about certain things that might trigger a trauma or a bad memory. For myself, it has to do with that pain of the uncertainty.
Casa de Sueños, house of dreams, brick by brick, we lay our roots, beam by beam, we lift our voices, no longer asking, no longer waiting, we claim our space, porque nuestra gente siempre ha construido. We build with callous hands and tired souls. We build empires, only to be told we could not stay. We build bridges, only to be asked to walk away.
A sense of reverence would be to write the poems like the way I do. So I want to make sure that they're in first person, past tense. I want people to know that they're coming from a real place. That's why the vulnerability is it's also a tool. It's something that will make you stronger as you start working on it, because it's allowing you to really show yourself, and you start peeling away things that were hurting you, things that might feel like a weight. And the lighter you feel, the more honest the poem is, the more honest and sincere the art becomes.
Desde el Premio Nobel de Pablo Neruda, dibujando Latinoamérica en Suecia, hasta Sonia Sotomayor, escribiendo nuestro futuro en la ley. We are the voices of Juan Luis Guerra, Selena y Gloria Estefan. We are the ink, the rhythm, the fire. Somos Lin-Manuel Miranda. who wrote our struggle into song, reminding us to not throw away our shot, because immigrants, we get the job done. So let the wind carry our names through this United States. Let the years hum the echoes of our ancestors. Let our laughter rise. Let our stories bloom. Because this is more than a house. Esto es más que una casa. Es un hogar. Es nuestro país, nuestro tiempo. Y no nos vamos. Muchas gracias.
Without hesitation, I would tell them to bet on yourself. Bet on your talent and your desire to become someone of positive aspects. You have the potential in you, and that weight that you feel right now is just going to work as a foundation to build the kind of life that you don't even know you're going to dream about. So this 15-year-old version of myself is the person that is going to be able to find the book that I published 2 years ago.